How hard is Champions Road really? Well, if you don't already know what that is from the name, let me give you a quick history lesson. In every single mainline Mario game since Super Mario Galaxy 2, Nintendo has made it a tradition to test the player's skill in one final level at the end of the game, which consists of 0 checkpoints and 0 power-ups, making it the hardest level in the entire game. In Super Mario Galaxy 2, it was the perfect run. In Super Mario Odyssey, it was Darker Side, and in Super Mario 3D World, it's Champions Road, which in my opinion is one of the harder levels to come out of a 3D Mario game, directly behind Perfect Run in Galaxy 2. But what makes this level so insanely difficult? It's very well known to be one of the most challenging levels to ever be constructed in the Mario franchise, but what actually makes this level so challenging? Well, in this video, we'll be going over anything and everything that makes this level in particular so damn hard, and why this level is set so high on this list as one of the hardest Mario levels to ever be created by Nintendo. So how hard is Champions Road really? Let's get into it. First off, we need to talk about the structure of this level, as it matches up exactly with how Perfect Run and every other level at this magnitude to come after it was set up, as this level is divided into 5 different sections to test different skill sets that you've learned over the course of this game, no matter it being your skills in timing jumps or the use of the beat blocks. Each section in this level is meant to test your skills to the highest degree, no matter what the obstacle is. So let's dive into every section that this level provides us with, starting with the first one, as this level opens up to the player facing some simple platforming in order to get across to the clear pipe, which leads us straight into the actual level. But even with how simple this opening is, it's definitely one of the biggest reasons as to why this level is so infuriating to play, simply because of the simplicity of this segment, as this is the screen that you'll be greeted with every time you die and restart the level. And because in the player's mind, this part of the level is supposed to be easy, their first instinct is to find quicker ways to skim past this section, because it's easy, right? When in reality, the more shortcuts you try to find and the faster you attempt to get past this section, the more times you'll actually end up dying and the more angrier you'll end up getting. So that's just the opening for all of you unaware of how frustrating it is to see a couple of Octoombas bouncing around as if they did nothing wrong. But now onto the rest of the section, which is a few Fire Bros, which isn't too bad. You can get past them for the most part without interacting with them whatsoever. But now we get to the final part of the section, which is the Chargin' Chucks, which is not that bad as long as you just keep running. Because for the first one, you obviously have to jump over the Chargin' Chuck, but for the second set, it's highly recommended that you don't jump at all, as it makes it much easier to stay on the platforms and not accidentally fall through the cracks. So as long as you don't jump and just keep running, you should be fine. Now in my opinion, this first overall section isn't too terribly difficult as long as you don't rush and try any dumb shortcuts to get by things faster. But that's the only easy section in this entire level, because everything after that is just plain chaos as we get thrown straight into the deep end with the second section, which is the beep block section, which unlike the rest of the game where they beep 3 times before they switch, in this level they switch literally every second. So depending on which character you play, you'll have to come up with a strategy in order to get past this. This section in my opinion is probably one of the hardest ones in the entire level, because if you play this level as Mario, Luigi, or even Toad, they don't have any saving graces like Peach and Rosalina have, which is that they can stay in the air much longer than the others. But Mario on the other hand literally only has a regular jump and can run at normal speed, and that's it. I myself have tried this level as Mario and never got past this part. I've only ever beat this level with Rosalina, so props to Rodriguez Jr. Gaming for this clip on screen right now with how to actually get past this part with Mario. But now on to the last part of the section, which is the Kamex, which are literally the easiest thing in the world. Just don't fall off the stage, and that's it for the second section, which is overall pretty difficult, mainly because of the shorter sequences you have to actually jump onto each platform in the beat block part. But now on to the third section of Champions Road, which is the jump timing section, which is a title that can also be given to the beat block section, but here you literally cannot stop jumping, because the moment you stop jumping, you'll get off rhythm and end up being hit by the spike rods. So my biggest piece of advice for this section is, even if you're completely safe, do not stop jumping in order to stay in rhythm with the spike rods and have the lowest % chance of being hit. This section isn't the hardest in the world, but you have to play it smart if you want to get past this unscathed. The fourth section of this level, in my opinion, is the hardest section in the entire level, purely because of the Piranha Plant jumping section. Now the Ant Trooper part is relatively easy, as you just hold down the jump button and get the max height, so you don't have to time any button presses. But the Piranha jumping is, in my opinion, some of the most impossible gameplay mechanics I've ever witnessed, because of the hitboxes for these Piranha Plants mouths being so ridiculously big. It's actually ridiculous how anyone can get past this without taking any damage. Now you have to remember, I've only ever played this level as Rosalina, and she doesn't have the highest of jumps in the game. So literally any time I got to the last Piranha Plant on the top, I ended up getting hit for absolutely no reason, even though I jumped on every other plant just fine. And apparently the last one wants to be special and deal damage to me for absolutely no reason. Now does this one part in the section make this the hardest section in the entire level? No, because it really depends on which character you play as. But in my opinion, if you're playing as either Peach or Rosalina, it's the hardest. But if it's any other character, then you should be relatively fine. The real challenge is actually getting to this section as those characters. The swimming spikes is the last last component of this section, which is on the same level of difficulty as the opening, as it's literally just a dodging game, and this mechanic isn't as hard as everything else in this level, so you should be good to go as long as you don't rush it. But now comes the fifth and final section, and arguably the most difficult section in the entire level, but in my opinion it just trails behind the piranha plant section, which is the boost pad section. And this section is literally if you combined Mario and Cuphead into one level, because the amount of dodging you have to perform in this part is absolutely insane, since first of all you're on boost pads, so if you jump straight off the stage if you're on the edge, and you have to collect the key coins to unlock the final box to end the level as well. So as I've said countless of times before, I've only ever beaten this level as Rosalina, and if you play as her, you're able to save yourself in this section, because if you jump, as I explained before, at the edge of the stage, you can spin in midair and redirect yourself so you don't actually fall off the stage. But playing as probably any other character, it's a completely different story, as you get no saves and no second chances for you jumping off the stage, because doing that with those characters will almost certainly lead to your death unless there's some crazy strategy the world's never heard before. But overall, this section is very difficult if you're not at all good with dodging projectiles under large amounts of stress or at very high speeds, but if you're really careful and keep calm, you should be able to do this no problem. If you're playing as Rosalina, of course. If you're playing as any other character, you're absolutely finished. It's impossible. Even though I'm playing it on screen with the help of Rodriguez Jr. Gaming, I'm still sticking to my guns and saying it's impossible to do. But with that section over and done with, we have reached the end of the level and the end of the game. And all that's left now is to get the golden flag and answer the question, how hard is Champions Road really? And my answer to that is really difficult depending on the character you play as. Now, even as Rosalina, this level is still really difficult, and that says something about the game design. Even though playing as certain characters does give you slight advantages in different ways, the level overall will still be difficult no matter which way you choose to play it. And that's why this level will always be at the top of my list as one of the hardest levels to ever be created by Nintendo in a 3D Mario game, because a lot of the 2D games and Sunshine are just miles ahead with the difficulty compared to some of these later games. But overall, this game is one of the hardest levels in Mario in my opinion, just barely behind Perfect Run though. And with that, we've reached the end of the video and finally answered the question, how hard is Champions Road really? I hope you all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace!